So I'm Francesca, but I'm going to, because of Patrick's advice, I'm going to say that most people call me Frankie, which is true, but I wasn't going to say that. So I'm going to talk today about basically it's kind of 7 lessons that I've learned about blending marketing and UX. But before I go into it, I'm going to have to tell you a little bit about the company where most of these lessons originated, so that you have a bit of an understanding. So the company where I worked previously to where I am now, which is Tandem 7, was called Canonical, and they delivered an operating system called Ubuntu. And just in a nutshell, so you all have some context, Ubuntu is an open source operating system. So it runs on PCs, and it runs on internet-enabled devices and servers and the cloud. And it's got millions, possibly billions of users worldwide. And Ubuntu is free. It's free to use, it's free to download, it's free to share. So that's kind of Ubuntu in a nutshell. So Canonical, the company that employed me, is behind Ubuntu. So Canonical, the way Canonical makes money, because Ubuntu's free, is what Canonical wants is for a wide audience as possible to adopt Ubuntu, so that we can then start to sell products and services to that audience, to that market. So as the lead UX designer at Canonical, my job was to sell the tools and services through our biggest marketing asset, which was Ubuntu.com. So that's just a little bit of context. So I'm going to try and go quite quickly. So lesson number 1, more time on site does not necessarily mean more conversions. And we've learnt this lesson kind of the hard way. So I'll tell you a little bit about how I came to learn that lesson. So Ubuntu.com has 100,000 daily visitors. So it's quite relatively high traffic. And 98% of all our visitors want to go straight up to the download button, which is up in the top navigation, and they just want to start downloading the software. They don't really care about all my carefully crafted messages about selling them tools and services that we spend ages, designing. They just want to go and download the free software. So it's very tempting for us to take some of that 98% of 100,000 visitors and sort of hijack them on their journey to download and try to sell them things. And I don't think we did it really obviously, but when I first joined Canonical, this was the download journey. This is how it looked. So basically, you would land on the home page, you'd choose download, and you'd go straight to a download homepage where we could give you a few other marketing messages about our other products. And from there, you would choose your platform. Then you'd go to a platform download page, and there you could choose your version. And again, we give you a few marketing messages along the way. And then you'd hit download. And before your product starts downloading, you're asked would you like to make a voluntary contribution? Would you like to donate some money to Canonical? And then you could either choose to donate something or not. But when you hit download, then your product would start downloading. And you'd see a thank you screen, and we could give you a few more marketing messages. So I don't think it was the most convoluted download journey, but we knew that we could improve it. And we kind of took the view that really, if we want our users to trust us, we should really just stop interrupting them on their journey. We should really be making sure that that download journey is as quick and as simple as possible, so that they trust us more. Trust us with their credentials. So this is how we redesigned the download journey. So we redesigned the menu. So as soon as you hover over download in the top navigation, you're immediately presented with the latest version for the 2 most popular platforms. And you could immediately, from hovering over the download menu on the homepage, you could actually hit the download button, the green button, and immediately your product would start downloading. So the next screen that you see is a thank you for downloading, your product's downloading in the background. And we took that opportunity to say, sort of after the fact, would you like to make a voluntary financial contribution? And would you like to sign up for a newsletter? So we really reduced down that download journey. Now, the impact with an open source product is always hard to track. Our hypothesis is that users that sort of trust Ubuntu are going to be more likely to recommend others to use Ubuntu, influence higher adoption rates. And one of the metrics that we do know is that the contributions, the financial contributions, didn't drop. So that was a good sign. So lesson number 2, we've heard a lot about this today, so I'm going to just go quickly through this, but communication between UX teams, design teams, and marketing teams is really, really key. So the way we did that at Canonical was we set up a regime of meeting every week for 45 minutes. So the whole of the marketing team, even the VP of marketing, when he was available, would meet with all of my web team once a week. And it allowed us to do loads of really good things. It allowed us to give the marketing team an update on the status of releases, when things were going to launch. And it would also give us a chance to have conversations with them about their upcoming campaigns and prepare for our next sprint in terms of the type of work we'd like to take on. And we had a really strict rule about not taking on work that wasn't ready and that wasn't fully defined, or where the content wasn't complete. And it could be it was quite tension-filled sometimes, the conversations we'd have to have with our marketing stakeholders about saying, I know, I can hear that this is really important to you and you want to rush it through, but it's really not ready to go into production yet. So those meetings and meeting on a regular basis really helped to create a kind of safe space for us to start having difficult conversations. And we could also share ideas, and we could air grievances. It was really an opportunity to build relationships, which I think is really important. And I think, finally, the other advantage is that it helped us, the web team, the UXers, to keep user-centered design on the agenda for our marketing stakeholders. Because I think often marketing teams are under lots of pressure, and KPIs come into play, and sales targets come into play. So I think it's really our job to keep making sure that the user's really on the agenda as well. Lesson number 3 was something I tried really hard to do, keep everyone happy. And of course, I couldn't do it all the time, but I've got one example of when I was able to keep everyone happy. So at Ubuntu, I had 17 different products to market and promote through our website. And that meant I had 17 different stakeholder groups for each product. And I also had a marketing team. And all of those groups, I had to try to keep them happy. And they all wanted the top spot, which for Ubuntu.com was this top spot at the top of our homepage. We called it the takeover. And it was certainly the most lucrative in terms of lead generation spot that we had on the site. So the technique that we came up with was kind of creating basically a shared top spot. What would happen is that in one session, a user would arrive at the homepage and see one homepage takeover, and then maybe they would go off and explore some other pages internally. And then if they came back to the homepage at any point in that session, they'd be shown a different homepage takeover. So it meant that I could, in all honesty, tell my stakeholders, you do have the top spot, but I just didn't really kind of explain that they were also sharing it with 2 or 3 other people at that time. And it also meant for our users that I was able to give them a more varied breadth of messaging. Lesson number 4 is that everyone wants to believe that of course their product is special, but I don't think you necessarily need to have a special content strategy for every single special product. So I'll tell you a bit about what I mean. At Canonical, we'd got into a situation when I first joined where we had a real legacy of various different product owners and marketing teams wanting to tell different types of stories about different products. So what we'd ended up with was a collection of really bespoke pages to represent our products. And those product pages we were seeing in testing were not allowing our users to evaluate our products really very well, and they weren't allowing our users to compare products easily across our website as well. We decided to design a templated product page, so really spend some time trying out and testing what types of content work well to sell products. And we wanted to do this for two reasons. A, it would make our users' life easier to evaluate and to compare across different products. And also it would make our lives easier on the web team, because it would be much quicker to build the pages if there was a sort of a guideline of strategy, and it would be much easier for our stakeholders to give us that content as well. So I'll tell you quickly a bit about the process of how we did this. So the first thing we did was my designers and I started to create a sort of log of all the pages that we had currently on the website. So we printed out all of the different product pages in a public space so everyone in the office knew what we were doing. And we went through and sort of found common bits of content and bits that were appearing multiple times. And we also looked at competitors and what they were doing and what bits we liked of what they were doing. And we created this sort of wish list of all the things we thought should probably be on a successful product page. That's in no particular order. And at this point, I think I should mention that we were having regular meetings with our marketing team. And so we were really kind of pulling them in to conversations that we were having and making sure that they were fully aware of what we were doing and getting their opinions. And so I think that's a really key way to kind of get ownership and to get everyone to buy into what you're doing, make them feel involved. So the next stage, once we'd had our wish list, was we started to just really kind of in an informal way, just put together ideas of possible ways the content might work, really just with post-it notes, just different orderings of content. Again, getting our marketing stakeholders to come in, give us their thoughts, changing stuff around. And then we moved on to slightly more detailed, kind of sketched out wireframes. And again, putting them up on the wall in public places and asking our marketing stakeholders to come and give us feedback. And then once we kind of had a bit of a content strategy that we felt would work, what I wanted to do was make sure that we could just sort of validate that we could actually build those pages. If we say they're going to work, I wanted to be able to deliver them. So we went through a process of, for every 17 different product pages, going and finding bits of content, cutting it out, sticking it up, and just checking that we actually had the bits and pieces that we needed to make those pages. So for example, I know from testing that our users respond really well to little short videos that promote a product or a tool. But of our 17 different products, we only had 4 videos. So it was no good me saying, well, yeah, every page has got to have a video, because we didn't have them. So I wanted to, in a practical sense, check that we had all the content that we needed. Once we'd done that, we kind of created this final sort of product content strategy, and we wanted to test it. So we chose a product. This is a tool called Maz. It's a server networking tool. So what we did was we set up dashboards to monitor how that page was performing for 2 weeks before we launched the newly redesigned product page. We didn't spend a lot of time on the visual design. In fact, this is all really made from components from our pattern library. But the content strategy is really different. So we built the page, we started watching it, and we were very pleased to see that it was performing better in user tests. There were much higher conversion rates. We had it assessed by an SEO specialist, and it was hitting all the keyword density targets, and more visitors were scrolling to the end of the page. We could see that from our heat maps in Crazy Egg. So it was kind of it was a bit of a success story, and I really think the lesson there is that it was born out of a collaboration between marketing and UX and web. So lesson 5 is show the price tag. Now that sounds really obvious, I'm sure, to all of you. But when you're selling products in the enterprise software space, it's actually not really the done thing to reveal the price. So the logic there is, the logic as it stood was that if users are interested in buying, then they really should be talking to a salesperson. So it was really all about price on request and phoning up and having a conversation. And that's still the model that lots of Ubuntu's competitors are subscribed to. But what we were seeing in our user testing was that users were getting really frustrated by not being able to find out the price. And I can sympathize with that. You just kind of want to understand, is this roughly in the ballpark of something I can afford, or is this way out of my league? We were seeing that people were actually so stressed and anxious about not being able to find out the price that they weren't able to take on any information about the product at all. So we established something called a plans and pricing page. It's not sexy or exciting, but it was quite pioneering for Canonical anyway. So this was my sketch of how the page would work, and then we sort of implemented these plans and prices pages. They're a dedicated set of pages that really detail out exactly how much a product costs per month or per server. And also, I think importantly, lots of Ubuntu's products are free, but even where they're free, we call out the fact that they're free. So every product page now will have a price table on it, even if the product's free, because people just need that reassurance. It really is free. There's no hidden catch. At this point, I'm just going to say that you're going to see a lot of these hand-drawn sketches. This is the way that I prefer to work. I find it really helpful. And I think one of the things that it's good at is when you show people a hand-drawn sketch, what I find is that I get more input and I get more sort of contributions and more thoughts, because I think maybe it just feels a bit more informal and it feels less finished, so people feel more willing to kind of give input. So anyway, that's an aside. So the plans and pricing page, the lucky thing was that it turned out that these pages are now the highest performing pages in terms of lead generation on all the site. So they're still there now. They're still generating the most amounts of leads. So I think they're going to be a permanent fixture. Lesson number 6, we're nearly at the end, is user data doesn't have to be private. And this sounds a bit controversial, but at Ubuntu, because we're open source, we believe in transparency and we believe in openness. So of course we're not breaking any GDPR regulations, and in fact, when you install Ubuntu, you're asked in a really clear way, are you willing to share your data, yes or no? And in fact, we even go an extra step and we say, you can even see a report of the data that we're going to send back to Canonical before you send it. So we're definitely not breaking any rules, but we have decided that we're really grateful that our users are sharing their data with us, so we're going to share it back. So we built a page called the Ubuntu User Statistics page, and you can really find, this is live, so you can find live, updated information about exactly where our users are in the world, what size monitors they're using, what kind of installs they're doing, is it clean, is it an upgrade, all sorts of information. And I think it really has helped to kind of uphold the brand values, and it helps to, in that exercise of building trust, which is so important. We can't really track the impact. It's really hard to track because lots of our installs are through the command line. But what we can track is that we've seen that there was lots of press attention about this page, and there was loads of really nice interpretations that happened, other people creating other things using this data, which was really nice. Lastly, don't promote every feature. I think that's really key. I think as UXers, we need to be selective about what we choose to promote and what we choose not to promote. And I've learned that lesson the hard way, and I'll just give you one example. So we spent ages on my team crafting this really beautiful page that described all the features of the Ubuntu desktop operating system. And because our marketing team and our business stakeholders told us to, we put in a section that we thought was really unobtrusive, which was a section that was about compatibility. So it was like, oh, you know, all your printers and all your cameras will work with this. And we were seeing in user testing that the rest of the page was performing really well, and then users would get to this bit, and it was triggering all these anxieties about compatibility. And then users were remembering a time when perhaps their Ubuntu system wasn't compatible with something, or another system wasn't compatible. They started to mistrust that message, and then they started to mistrust all the other messages that were on the page as well, which was really problematic. And in the end, we just took it out, and the page performed a lot better. So I think just about being selective is the lesson there. To sum up, I'm no longer at Canonical, but I'm looking forward to new horizons with Tandem 7, which is a US experience consultancy, and they've just opened a new UK office, which is really exciting. They've got a lot of clients in banking and financial services, and of course that's another area where trust is really, really important. So for example, I've just found out, like this is a storyboard that I made for a new commercial banking client. And happily, I found out that lots of the lessons that I've learned at Ubuntu, I can apply really easily to this new world of banking and financial services as well. Things like show the price, find a content strategy that works, and then reuse it if you can, collaborate and engage with your stakeholders, and ultimately build trust. And yeah, that's kind of, in summary, just that I thought I'd just quickly say that we do have power as UX designers and marketeers. We can refuse to implement dark patterns. It's within our power to do that, and we should do. And we need to remember to try and keep the real humans at the core of what we do. We all know that. And I think we all have a duty to try and keep trustworthiness a standard in our design work. And yeah, that's it. I'm looking forward to doing that more.